Oh, fantastic week for Misfits, not only winning their quarterfinal match in a reverse sweep, they then also get an academy team into the LCS, and now they have a chance to make it all the way to the final against G2.
Do they fear the horns?
Do they fear the horns? That is the big question. You kind of have to at this point.
Do you have to, or should you just fight them?
I mean, you should definitely fight the horns, but also respect them.
Respect the horns.
Definitely respect the horns. Yeah, but that doesn't sound as cool when they chant it.
Respect our horns.
The horn. Nah,
There's a little too many syllables in there. But we haven't seen the unicorns for 2 weeks, right? I mean, who knows what these guys have been cooking up. Since we saw them play on the 1st of April back in week 10, having that semifinal bye, it's a very important thing. Misfits, they've shown a lot of their hand.
Yeah, we have a lot of fascinating matchups here. I think we have the kind of slower clearing Gragas as well into a Graves. If you make a pathing mistake, Graves will punish you for that, can steal a buff. That's why I think Xerxes starting on bot side too, because Graves have in the past done Raptors red into enemy blue to steal it. Also, Gragas is extremely dependent on his blue, so he needs to lock that down early. Look at the bot lane, that's a matchup that can swing so often too. You know, Hansama really being able to abuse the push and the poke potential from this double range lane into Tom Kench, who's also leashing.
Yeah, so much comfort as well, especially for Unicorns of Love with the Lucian. Samax actually looked pretty good on it the last few weeks of the split when it came back into the meta. Hylissang, as we talked about earlier, a lot of different counter picks. Tom Kench being one of them against the likes of Thresh. Ignor's just spotting the clear here and maybe to see if he could force a smite, but he's not going to do it.
Yeah, just a little bit of early annoyance. Both junglers have their starting locations revealed because Corki obviously leashed the Raptors with the Corki Phosphorus Bomb, so both teams are aware of where the junglers start.
Obviously the push for level 2 down the bot lane, always important with Thresh.
Yeah, it's a really good trading pattern here. Auto, flame to auto. If you have Colossus up, he actually had Colossus on cooldown because he traded earlier. It's even stronger right then, and that's what makes it super hard for Lucian. However, they kind of over push, so I think Unicorns are actually happy with the level 1 on bot lane.
So good for Exile with level 2 early in mid. Good trade for him.
Keep on going here. Hylissang was trying to turn back with the acquired taste stacks, but it's just not enough. No gray health at level 1 for the Tom Kench, and as expected, this is going to be a lane that Samax and Hylissang are going to be under pressure for a while.
Yes, but at least they have the wave pushing in rather fast. They're not getting denied in front of their turret just yet. The wave goes in on third wave. It can bounce, and he has 3 potions with the longsword. So overall, they're not as punished as they could have been. I think the Unicorns are okay with the start.
And now we have to track Gragas in the jungle, because when you play Renekton on top lane, you always want to get some early pressure. You always want to see if you can get maybe a kill or 2 early tower. Because your late game compared to a Camille, it's not great. Gragas, while he has good CC in his ganks, the damage without a red buff is not always the greatest compared to some of these other early game junglers. But you always have that one flash gank that can be so effective. Xerxes will get his red buff. Let's see what he decides to do on the map. We do see some early action.
There's a few low health bars starting to heal up quickly though. Power of Evil is safe. It's hard to gank Corki's lane, of course, so Xerxes might be more anticipating heading up towards this top side. Cacao is going to be backing his channel. It should complete before the barrel's coming in, but he stops it. He's actually not able to get back to base, and now the junglers have sight of each other.
But yeah, that's the thing. It always kind of slows down the early game a little bit when the junglers are being tracked. The junglers notice each other, they know where they're starting. It is a bit easier to know when to back away in your lane when you know there's a high chance the jungler is nearby.
Yeah, especially when they start on the same side of the map. Hylissang is actually taking a lot of poke here because he wants to play forward, but at the same time, if he gets hooked, he can still take a ton of damage early on. But yeah, if both junglers start bot side, then it becomes very hard. Oh! Devour will save him, it's fine.
Nice long range hook though.
It's all about trading cooldowns. Now you have a fraction of like 4 seconds where you can maybe get another hook off, but that's where the Unicorns then play super defensive.
They'll spin the map though, early on, while we might not see that many kills. Let's see Ignore. Just take the blast going for himself. Means the jungler can't take it, and that prevents a sneaky Gragas gank. It's actually always very important, even in solo queue. If you get access to these blast cones in the enemy jungle, it makes it much harder to gank your lane if you already removed it.
And trying to slow down Xerxes, fresh off Fountain Trip as he picked himself up a control ward. We can see where Cacao is though, inside of his own jungle, and should just barely have sight that Xerxes had started on the Scuttle Crab. Pinged out.
It's almost funny that this series that will get so bloody later on, they'll have so much action, starts this slow.
Yeah. It's really because the junglers both started bot side, walk top side, reveal each other. They know their second clear will start bot side again.
Yeah.
And the first thing to do is get river pressure. And this is how it's going to evolve. This is the breaking point of this early game. Since Alphari is playing so well into Vizicsacsi in top lane, it only seems like the breaking point is on the bottom lane when they run out of sustain.
Yeah, bot lane or maybe this teleport LeBlanc gets to roam.
Yes.
But that's one of the hard things because Corki, after level 6, start building towards, that Hex Stringer. There's not really any kill threat against the barrier Corki as well. And that means it just becomes like a wave clear game. And if you can maybe leave first, package for Corki, teleport from the LeBlanc, and if you can go down to this bottom lane or maybe up to top lane, you can really be impactful because imagine a world where this Renekton falls behind. He won't do anything in this game and Camille will take over or swap it around. Renekton gets an early kill on Camille and suddenly Vizicsacsi becomes the monster.
Yeah, well, the top lane is always going to be a pretty hype matchup when you're talking about Vizicsacsi, especially facing off against Alphari, who came into the split honestly looking pretty hot himself. And, well, if we can get a solo kill up there, that does turn the difference. But, of course, the junglers, they've been keeping eyes on each other, and they might be moving a little closer towards the mid lane right now. Cacao is spotted on a ward as he places one of his own.
Yeah, that ward at top left right there above Cacao seems to be the new favorite warding location. It seems rather defensive, but it actually works so well against a lot of the ganks. Because it spots the jungler moving into the river brush, and it also spots him if he goes around the wall to go behind. So there's no point warding your actual brush. It's much better placing your ward over there. It also is out of range for a lot of the control wards. It's a really smart warding location by presumably Exile.
And this very slow early game kind of allows us to take a step away from what's actually happening in these lanes. And just as you say it, obviously there's going to be a trade, but the unicorns of love and how they like to play the game. It's very rarely win the early game, win game for Unicorns of Love. It's so often like slow and steady early, get to the mid game where the map is much more open, and then look for teleport plays and good roams from Hylissang and start these fights.
Yeah, if we go back to the first 6 weeks of the split here, they had a massive spike from 20 to 25 minutes. That was the Unicorns. They would always break open the game at that point. So they kind of set the theater, and then they go in for the plays. And now Vizicsacsi's level 6, which means he has way more pressure on Alphari.
Throws the Dominus. There is the Hextech ultimatum, but Alphari's going to have to walk out of it himself. And Chachi flashes under turret. Alphari's going to follow away, and that trade will come to nothing in the end unless he wants to go back in for round 2.
Oh, he wants it.
Oh, the tack sweep. That's going to slow Chachi down, but this Croc is angry, and he gets first blood. Solo kill up top.
Ah, what a fantastic read of Vizicsacsi. So many top laners would leave. Mission failed, but he knows he can go into auto queue, plus the TMI proc, and then just a slice out. What a well-played execution.
And it's great execution between multiple lanes for Unicorns here because Exile had actually forced Power Vivo back to base with those earlier trades while we were talking about the Unicorns playstyle. And that meant now Vizicsacsi, he can safely dive. You can see here on your minimap, Corki's recalling. Chachi goes in for the dive. He doesn't see a jungler nearby at this point. And when he checks the brush here and there's still no jungler, well then he knows he can actually wait.
And that's actually a mistake from Alphari from letting the wave go into the turret. He probably should have tried to tank it out, so Vizicsacsi could never walk in again. But nobody expects this Vizicsacsi guy to go back in, because he had just had so much damage stored up because he still had more than 50% rage.
And we talked about this, Renekton getting that little advantage. It suddenly snowballs into much, much more. You can see the stats here for Vizicsacsi as well. Highest damage percent for top laners on a team. Most solo kills in the league. It's been a fantastic split for him. And it's a great start.
Oh yeah, Chachi has been a madman this split, and he's been the backbone of this Unicorn squad since their qualification to the LCS. Yes, Hylissang's been there too, but Chachi's the man who will make the plays, and this is where he got his name on. Playing this Renekton right now is looking pretty good for him as he's up and up against Alphari, and that's been the difference maker so far.
Yeah, a lot of these mid lane ganks come in 2 phases, clearing out vision first and then going in. But now Xerxes unspotted, finds Power of Evil, goes in with a cask.
Speaking of going in, they combo up nice and easy and break through. The barrier power's going down. It's Exile that grabs one. The solo laner starting to pick up kills on the Unicorn side.
The first time we see a jungler go unnoticed. There was a control ward here in the brush from the Unicorns of Love, and Xerxes finds that one gank with the flash.
That's all he's got to do.
Body slam flash, and then suddenly...
One bullet in the chamber, that's all you need is Gragas.
The catch on to Hylissang. He's tanky enough right now, but he had to take a tower shot, and there's the gray health pop.
Did he have to? I don't think he had to.
I think that's the rules of the game, Krepo, when you're in range.
Yeah, I think he walked up too far right there, but this is just... Ooh, look at the ward. He's just out of sight. Yeah, he's been on a diet.
Oh, he sucked in the belly there. Snuck by it. Like when Krepo takes selfies.
Yeah,
there we go. Hold it,
quick. And then we let it go. No, that was actually really well timed, and I must suck for Power Hue because he felt like he knew
Yeah, he thought he had vision.
He had vision. What he thinks happened is Gragas body slammed over the wall, waited, and then body slammed again. And that feels like dirty camper, but it actually was a really quick-paced, efficient gank from Xerxes.
So this is so good for Unicorns of Love, because another big thing for them is, of course, the solo laners. Like, we talk so much about that mid to late game where the Unicorns explode. Very often it's Chachi and Exile who are the two main carries in these fights, and they're looking good right now.
Yeah, look at Hillsang, one of my favorite old school moves on the Tahm Kench, level 6 rotation, joining Chachi here and going for a turret play.
There we go, Alfari, he's gonna have to hook shot out. He is gone, but now they can turn their attention towards this top turret. 10 minutes to try and take it down. It should be easy peasy for these guys, and there is no reaction possible for Misfits. Pings are flying, but they know they've been had.
Yeah, and this is the Unicorns with macro. Fnatic played against them, and Fnatic, they talked about... Hang on, Hillsang.
All right, so maybe that was stepping too far forward. This time the Great Health is popped. The ultimatum goes in. Kakao gets a revenge kill. So before I start talking about the plays...
Also a Unicorn classic. A lot of their engages hinge on Hillsang going aggressive, and it's really hard to kind of unlearn that sometimes. But I want to go back to, if we can, eventually. Fnatic talked about learning from the Unicorns how to play, and they dubbed their own style Animal Style. Now, the Unicorns didn't like that for a good reason, because they don't play kind of dumb. Like, they actually have an idea of what they're doing, and everything is planned. Unicorns have macro. They just elect to play a different style of League of Legends.
Yeah, Unicorns macro is built around finding these fights. It can be skirmishes, it can be team fights. This is obviously one of the problems for Unicorns is when you play like this macro style where you want to look for these engages all the time, you can overextend. I think it's mainly just on Hillsang though, but we might get more fights.
Speaking of overextensions here, Ignar and Hansama, they're gonna take the Lantern out duel, and that is a big barrel out of Xerxes. Hansama, one more hit is all it takes for Samix to get the kill, and Ignar is going down. It's a double for the 80 carry of Unicorns.
They're getting everything right now. Absolutely everything. They got kills in the solo laners, now the 80 carries on the board. They got first tower top lane, and they're not losing anything on the map.
Yeah, we missed the most important part, which is the setup, because we have to wonder how Misfits ended up so deep in that lane that they could get both flanked by Xerxes and Exile. Unicorns really putting pressure together with that 4-man squad, isolating Chachi, who was also winning the bot lane matchup.
Alfari trying to hang tough under his own tower, but yeah, Unicorns are starting to run on all levels, and we talked about the 20-25 minute spike, but it's coming earlier this time. Composition unlocked, but the Unicorns, they are playing all out, and Hansama didn't know what hit him.
And they feel so safe right now. They think, you know, we have push, we have a jungler in river, and suddenly there's a teleport from LeBlanc.
Yeah, the teleport plays, good setup, but also Ignar, when he places that ward and it gets disabled instantly, don't feel so safe. Like, you know, then you don't actually have vision towards the enemy jungle, and Xerxes was just waiting around the corner.
Yeah, they felt they had river control. They felt Corki could always be faster than LeBlanc, and they simply forgot about the teleport. It was a really good deport from the Unicorns. Again, that set that play up.
So, Gragas here on a diet who's sneaking around unspotted multiple times. He's down bottom lane.
Yeah, Exile's coming in as well, and Unicorns, they're starting to make a lot of pressure plays on this map, taking control of the jungle with wards and movements.
Yeah, Samix is a little lost though. He passed to the top side, then went back to the mid lane. Unicorns obviously in this fast-paced style of people constantly moving around the map. It's really hard to constantly communicate who takes which lane at which time. So you see them still looking for a bit more efficient plays.
Now to take a step back and then look at Misfits instead, because it's been very Unicorns focused, seeing as we could kind of set up their playstyle and then it just exploded and they got kills after kills and towers. But Misfits, sadly enough for them in this game, our team has been relying a lot on the laning phase. They've been relying a lot on getting ahead early game, because then they have this very clean execution. They know how to snowball an advantage. They got famous for their Baron setups here in Europe. When they fall behind though, they have struggled.
Yeah.
And we have to see in a game like this if they can actually bounce back, because right now, they're down 2,000 gold already and multiple kills.
Yeah, they've been... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
They have the tendency to just play slow, and that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Misfits, you know, decision-making in the early game has definitely been more their forte, but they haven't had as much experience when they have been falling behind. You have to take a look at how different it is when you look at these two teams' stats in the early games. Like, they just don't get as much even as Unicorns do. And when we talk about Unicorns being a later game team threat, that's actually pretty insane.
It's always funny when you look at this with Unicorns. I love how much they fight, you know, how many kills they're getting early on, where Misfits, on the other hand, they get some kills, but they just die way less. The bottom stat is what you need to look at, death per games at pre-20 minutes. Misfits are last in the league, which means they die the least. So it's a very good thing to be last in.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a long range shot.
Samix.
He's isolated. No Tom Kench to save him this time. Ignar Kakao on the hunt down, flashing forward. There was a heal from Samix to try and speed boost himself as he flashed away too. Flay there. Auto attack. He's turning it back around, and Misfits get cold feet.
Yeah, and those are the plays. Misfits are trying to kind of force their way back into the game, but this is so reactionary on an already pushed lane. And this is where the Unicorns strive. When they have the pressure, they play pretty deep in some of these lanes that even if you kill them, by the time you reach the objective that you're playing for, which is the turret in that lane, they're already spawned and ready to defend, potentially with teleports, people moving around. So it's very suffocated to play against a well-oiled Unicorns machine.
And that teleport from Exile is soon ready. A bit of an old school version of this LeBlanc build. I say old school, a few weeks earlier, with the Protobelt rush and not the Gunblade that we've seen so often. Most mid laners in Europe that really favor the sustain the Gunblade gives you. But he's gone straight for Protobelt and trying to use that extra HP maybe to his advantage. The damage actually is not that different with this build, but maybe he's not a big fan of Gunblade right now. I'm not really sure, because I actually think Gunblade is the best against Corki due to some of the poke he lands onto you.
He wants to cover that distance nice and quick, and let's see what Misfits can do as they cover some distance on Vizicachi. Lantern bait out, and we're going to check in on bottom as Alfari gets stopped up. Hillisang flashing forward for the tongue lashing, and Alfari's in trouble. No flash available. Auto attacks and distort. Dodged out.
Take
Alfari.
it, Hilly. Leg him.
One more shot. Exile's got it in the end. Check back up top. It looked like no casualties there.
Not yet, Pyro, but they're going to fight.
Oh, three-man belly pop. Xerxes sends him flying, and Hansama down under tower. Kakao trying to kite away. Xerxes, that's why this guy's rookie of the split. Holy moly, he keeps on rolling.
He's going. Red buff, full HP, Ignar.
And Chachi's right at the back. This is going to be 3 kills right there. There's the Flay denial, but Ignar, your days are numbered. 1 shot, 2 shot. Even Xerxes picks it up on the red buff.
And that's when you know it's done.
Yeah.
When you try to cross map and then you die 3v2 to a fantastic Gragas engage. Xerxes, he didn't care about losing Rengar. Getting this Gragas was
so
fantastic.
happy to play this Gragas here. The Unicorns, they survived the lanes without needing his ganks early on. He finds that one gank in the mid lane that really keeps him just solid in the game. Obviously, bottom lane, this Tom Kench is being used masterfully here. And this is a pick that the Misfits, they know how it works. The problem is the map is just so open right now due to these rotations that they can't elect to avoid the Tom Kench, otherwise they lose too much already.
And that's the thing, if you want to make any plays on the map as Misfits, then you have to overextend somewhere.
Yes.
And then Tom
Cross
Kench
map.
sitting in the mid lane will always be able to do something. But this is the play top. There's no vision on Xerxes. They're not expecting him to show up this quickly, and that's an absolutely fantastic engage from Xerxes.
It could not be played any better from a guy who came into his first rookie LCS split. Obviously not the first stage experience for Xerxes. He was already a monster in previous games there in the TCL, but he left his mark here for the Unicorns, and what a fantastic upgrade I feel in this season.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Unicorns, when you have to talk about them throughout history, they hadn't had a jungle that you could call 100% reliable since Diamond Prox, and turning it around with Xerxes in this split has been incredible to watch. A large part of their success as they now pick up the first dragon on the map.
Yeah, and we praised them for their macro. I wanted to track how they were going to close, but these guys are already sitting at 6,000 gold lead before Baron has even spawned.
Yeah,
I mean,
what
what are you talking about?
moment, you're like, really want to set up Baron here?
Yeah.
Oh wait, we can't actually for another 2 minutes. It's kind of stuck here.
Guys, there's 1 turret remaining, maybe 2. Okay, let's rotate for that one.
So this is the moment where if you don't have deep vision on one side, be careful of overextending, because it's kind of the only way back for the other team, like Misfits at this point here. I'm sure in the next game we get to talk much more about them and their style, because they don't fall this far behind every game, we would assume. But in this one here, it's all Unicorns. And that's why now they can do whatever they want on the map.
Yeah, but we have to go back to Champs League. We have the early Renekton, we have the Lucian Tom Kench. Lucian Tom Kench got fine through the laning phase and even opened up the map with the rotation, so Unicorns won out in that regard. The Renekton had to get something going, if not, it would maybe become a little less useful. We're looking at, you know, a 2-0 to Chachi combined with Xerxes, 2-0-4 already. Unicorns did everything they had to, and Misfits, they offered no rebuttal.
Oh, we have to remember, Misfits in the pick and ban phase had ways to try and counterpick the Renekton. They opted into this Camille top lane. I'm pretty sure it's because they were afraid of potential last pick like Thresh or something like that from the Unicorns of Love. So weren't too confident maybe in the Camille bot lane as a blind pick. But now when you then get solo kill top lane, it shows for game 2, this matchup is not going to work for you.
Well, It was a little bit of a slow starter, but when it opened up, Unicorns really made a big statement there, and now looking to close this one out. I mean, that's a 7,000 gold advantage in 20 minutes. We saw their average is not nearly that high, but I guess you can't crush them every game.
I think actually it's important also then to look at Misfits in the quarterfinal. Because they also lost the first game against Splice. They then lost the second game against Splice, and it looked like a 3-0.
Lose 2 games to give the Unicorns fans false hope.
To give some false hope, maybe. In that video that was made, obviously, from the reverse sweep where you got behind the scene, they did talk about how they needed some games to adapt, to figure out the correct pick and ban phase, not to pick Kennen AD carry, these kind of things. And suddenly, they actually bounce back. It can, of course, still be the same. It's only game 1 of a best of 5.
Right, this is just the beginning, and even when you take a pretty big deficit like we're seeing here for Misfits in game number 1, we'll see if they can stay alive. Time to adapt, time to think about how things changed, how things went wrong, and what you can improve on going forward. And I mean, if you can reverse sweep in your rookie split, I believe you can do just about anything.
And they can obviously still be happy. They're not happy right now, the Misfits.
They're cheering. They're like, yeah, boys.
Yay,
that's the game 1 we were looking for.
That's the game plan.
That's the game plan. But they can still be happy with their organization because first split, play like this with good macro, get to the offline stage, get to Hamburg, have an academy team that, you know, gets into the LCS. I don't think the owners are too unhappy just yet, but obviously once you're this close,
hey, you want to
play the final.
You want to get to the final. We'll see what happens in this game. Unicorns still need to, of course, take that Baron, close out the game. But again, at this point, when you're this far ahead, it should be very easy for you. Exile is hiding in the brush here, looking for another kill.
Yeah, see if we get onto Kakao. The chain's broken. The hook does not connect. Okay. And they're going to turn for this. In comes Xerxes and Hylissang.
Whoops.
Chachi gets blown up, though, a second too early. And now Unicorns, they've overstepped.
Yeah, the Misfits backed up. They were ready to yield this Nasher because they couldn't face it through Exile and then visit Chachi.
I think Unicorns wanted everything right there. They realized, hey, we can maybe get some kills. Let's just drop the Baron for now. We can always come back to the Baron, get a few more kills. Chachi, with this, of course, full damage Renekton at this point. You don't have your tank items yet. You can't 1v5.
Yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
That was a little unfortunate for Unicorns, though. Nonetheless, still a pretty big gold advantage for them. But yeah, this is part of the downside of trying to get objectives off the back of fights. When you're already taking an objective, you don't always want to turn for the fight.
Oh, so it gets close.
Speaking of turning.
We're in the mid game now also with this Corki. Like Trinity Force, boots, everything is there. His damage is going to spike a lot, especially also at 16 for Power of Evil. Misfits are trying now to just prevent Baron from going down to buy more time.
It is still dark though, and a lot of teams would think they have the pressure here, but the Unicorns are a team that would just
double TP.
Here comes the TPs, and now Alfari's the target out, and Xerxes stands on top of the lantern, but he's not big enough. Alfari makes his escape, and Exile's going to have to distort out. Misfits pull off the escapes.
Yeah, but they're going straight to Nasher, I believe, because there's not much vision left here for the Misfits. They can just sweep it out, guaranteed it's all gone. That's the last blue trinket gone, so it's on cooldown right now, and the Scuttle gets controlled.
Still, if they start this Baron here, we're still 23 minutes in. Misfits might look for the fight then. Unicorns now just lost double teleport.
They have mid lane priority though, so Unicorns are going to come back out, push out the mid wave, and then they can go for another bait if they want to. A lot of farm is being lost on the side lanes.
It's been a few good minutes for Misfits though. When you're 7k gold down, not losing anyone for just a brief moment and preventing Baron from dying means that you are delaying the game at least. Still plenty of time for Unicorns of Love.
Well, sometimes you want to buy some time when you have a later game jungle like this, Graves, when you have a Camille that is still working to stack up items, only sitting on the Trinity Force. Remember, he went the very early Tabe finish, so the damage spike was a little delayed.
I do like that the Unicorns are now going back to the proper wave setups. They sent Exile top to cash in that side lane. Renekton is going to be pushing the side lane. Alfari has no teleport, which means Vizicachi could technically push in and leave, and then generate another instance where the Unicorns are 4v5 around this Baron area.
Still sucks for them, of course, with some actually good setups, but then poor execution.
It's a multi-step plan, right? That is why we always watch these Baron baits so intently, because it takes you 5 steps to do right, and if you fail one of them, you have to go back to square one. You can't just like, oh, let's go back to the save point where we had all the vision and they have to face sync again. No. You start with the basics again.
Yep, you do. So they're starting Baron now. Rest of Misfits are on the way. Alfari no teleport. He's running though. They're closing in.
Kakao's got to do it.
Let's see if they can pull it off right now. Can the hero play be made? The Unicorns are down to half health on the Baron, but they're getting cold feet. Hylissang wants to dive right into the back. There's the box, but they got a 3-man belly bop again, and Samix just unloads a calling onto Misfits. They're melting through, but Power's untouched on the side, and now Xerxes got to get out. Chachi's down.
Oh,
Misfits
baby!
turn the fight around. This is going to be a big one. Power of Evil. We've seen him chase people down on this Corki before. He gets Hylissang. He's looking for Samix. Xerxes trying to cover the escape.
The Misfits actually did it. They walked in. The Unicorns were so confident they could just deliver this belly slap in the middle of the team with the Tom Kench.
They forgot about Power of Evil.
Yeah, they just let him wreck him from the side. That could be an Asher.
But that's the thing for Unicorns of Love. What we just said before here, how the execution just wasn't there. Like the setups with the double TP or starting the Baron at first was fine. But they didn't finish Baron early on. They didn't get any kills on the double teleport. And were then put into a pure 5-on-5. Xerxes, he's stolen a lot of Barons, by the way.
Though. Let's see this. Hold on. Misfits, they got to know that. Keeping it in mind. He's getting chunked down, but the Baron is as well. He goes in. Can he get the smite? He gets it! Xerxes comes right back in! How bad for a smite steal? No, he didn't even smite it. What am I on about? He didn't even smite it. He got it with an auto.
How does he even do it? He won the mind game. Kakao just lost out.
He just hit it in the face with this massive barrel. I can't actually believe that. Oh,
how's that for a happy hour, Deficio?
That's the thing with Unicorns of Love. I hate to say it, but it happens so often. Every playoffs, they get like, I don't know, a shockwave or some weird way to get a Baron.
Oh, yeah.
Misfits used to have the perfect Baron setups, but they were taking so much damage in the pit. They were like, we just have to try and finish it.
Yeah, Power was zoning Xerxes, but he realized that if he stays in that position, Xerxes would body slam over the wall and take him out, and then still get access to the steal. But that whole exchange we have to watch again here. So it starts, why, like, okay, the problem we have to analyze here is that obviously Hylissang doesn't walk up, they hand deliver 2 people.
Oh, but we're back to the fight in real time. Okay, Chachi's going in, Chachi's going down. Tried to finish off Power, but he walked in without a whole lot of backup there.
And now Misfits can go down back to the mid lane, or up back to the mid lane and defend that one as well. Unicorns, with this advantage, have really tried to
force it too much.
Force a little bit too much, a few more steps ahead of their current game plan. And they've actually been caught out a few times. And Xerxes had to almost save the day with that Baron steal.
Yeah, because this is actually reminiscent of a composition Misfits had a lot of their early success with. The double poke Corki mid lane is something they ran in week 2 and 3 with Iron back then in the jungle. Now they replaced his utility jungle to get him to the early game with Graves, which is even more damage. And it's actually, they run a lot of damage.
It's really huge as well for Misfits as a team to kind of show they can bounce back from such a poor start. We get the replay now, Crep.
There we go.
Let's see what we got. So the Hylissang delivering the Gragas, and that means now Power of Evil on the side is completely untouched.
There's also a really big exhaust on Samix, who isn't really dealing too much damage in the fights. And yes, it's okay if you can deliver a Gragas for a pick, but you deliver 2 people too fast in a fight, so all the damage gets centered around them. They get AoE'd as well. A lot of these champions on the Misfits team have brutal AoE, like Varus Q, Corki Q, Corki R. And here, because there's 3 people in the back of the pit, the spikes are coming out, PoE takes so much damage, so he doesn't want to stay close to the wall. Hansama gets knocked up, and then just the empowered auto attack takes it down. This is just a brutal miss smite.
Kakao with the panic flash, and yeah, Xerxes is like, ooh, don't need D button, okay.
So, Unicorns of Love still have the advantage, but Misfits, a team that so rarely comes back from losing the early game, really defended well and actually punished a lot of these mistakes from the Unicorns of Love and made this a very even game despite still losing the Baron and of course putting some of the momentum back towards the Unicorns. This game is so far from over because this Misfits comp as well towards the late game with these double or triple AD carries with the Graves as well. It is going to be tough to teamfight against.
And it excites me for the rest of this series.
It's going to be a close one.
Because normally a 7,000 gold lead, it gets closed down routinely in a nice, timely fashion, and we start talking about game 2, but not this game, not this series.
Well, Power of Evil definitely showed up in the last 10-15 minutes, and when you talk about a 7,000 gold lead at 20 Unicorns, they might be pushing in to try and extend it up, but Misfits, they showed that they have teeth. They can close the gap a little bit here. Now let's see if they can defend against the multi-push from the Unicorns. Exile solo on the top side.
Yeah, Baron buff is gone now as well, so they did lose an outer turret, but they're keeping the base safe for now. It's also important to remember this is a game 1. And like game ones, the players are still really getting used to the stage again and this series here. So sometimes there is a few more mistakes than you normally see, and then typically it gets cleaner and cleaner the further in we go.
Yeah. Unicorns hadn't played for 2 weeks on this stage.
Gotta shake it off a little bit.
You do. Have to get used to that one. Let's see if they can keep pushing this in for the win. Still very important for them. Favorites, semifinals, and Unicorns were looking to head to a big final matchup, and well, haven't been able to do it for a couple of years, but they have always been in the playoffs. They're used to this stage in that regard.
It is still good to see that Ignar is comfortable on this Thresh, because Threshing losing teams generally tends to literally int it up. Like, you end up on like 6, 7, 8 devs.
I've seen your stream.
Yes. You walk up, you're like, I'm gonna hook. No, I'm dead. And Ignar is actually 0, 2, and 8 with a pretty defensive posture. He is ready to lantern people out and then go for hook in front line, but he's also been the front line himself to try and make picks, and it's really hard to do that consistently.
If you are a KDA player as a Thresh, you stay in the back. You just lantern whoever is in the front out. Sadly, you can't really do that with most compositions because you need, as Crepo said, to be up there. And when you then CC yourself by actually hooking something.
Well, we've also heard Ignar is a very vocal part of the team. Talking about that video from last week, we heard his call is pretty much in action consistently, and when you're on a champion like Thresh, you want to be able to do that. Alfari, he's caught, he's isolated, and with the help of Tom Kench and Gragas, he's out of there.
Yeah, another example of how Unicorns have been leveraging this Tom Kench pick so well in the early game. This is not the first time, and yes, it's such a good example. Hillsang, he makes these similar plays. Sometimes they have really big payouts, sometimes it's a bit too far.
It's fun to see because he's only been part of 3 kills. But it feels like his ultis, whenever they've been used properly, just the pressure he adds actually then gives the kill. He doesn't have to get an assist for it. So he's done much better than his score actually shows.
Yeah, they've had major impact on the game, both positively and negatively. And that is the nature of Hillsang's engages.
It's another thing that sets up the Unicorns for success quite a lot. I mean, Hillsang being the only other long-standing veteran of this squad alongside Vizichachi, and yes, you can criticize him for stepping too far forward, but when he's enabled to make these picks, he does it.
Whenever I hear Hillsang near this wall here, near that inhib tower, I just think back to his Bard game with the portal over, where Exile clicked it and jumped in and died.
Oh, the 4-man Fiesta?
The 4-man one is like, no, you're so far ahead, what happened? That was such a classic moment for them, but they still managed to win the game.
But they also follow him. And that is how they beat HDK early on in the split as well. You see Hillsang walk up, he hooks, he misses. HDK engage on him. Suddenly Unicorns, they just pile into that fight. A lot of teams would say, you know what, our Thresh, it missed. Let's reset, let's go for the next fight. They will blindly follow Hillsang into any fight he goes for.
And that's really the big thing for these Unicorns guys is sometimes some of the fights they're looking for, they might be very risky. 50-50 fights they're taking. But because every single player is on the same page, they're all following and going for it, and the enemy team who needs to react might be 2 or 3 guys on one side and 2 guys on the other side, and then they get caught out and get surprised.
Yeah, because they assume like no team with a sane mind would take this fight.
Of course.
But the Unicorns,
they will take it.
They don't care about your preconceptions of what is safe and what is not.
Yep. Speaking of safe, I don't think Alfari or Exile is. He's going to get chunked down, but help's on the way. Let's see if they make the play. And Vizichachi, he's going to have to slice and dice his way out. But can he get away in time? In comes Xerxes, tag it in. Samix with the heal. Keep him alive. There's redemption coming, but it might be a little too late. Look at Hansama saving his support. What a hero. And now in the bottom lane, Hillsang dies.
Hillsang tried to go down and help Exile, but he came down after Exile already died. So he ends up also giving away a kill.
A lot of things happen.
This series is absolutely crazy because one team gets so far ahead and they're supposed to just like cleanly close it out, but they keep getting into these fights and they keep losing a lot of them.
You had to invoke the Bard portal. Now that's going to just happen over and over again to Fischio. Game 1, what are you going to do?
Yeah, definitely. You need to see if they can calm it down right now, because there's still 6,000 gold in the lead, right? The Unicorns, they should be able to set up the waves right here. Right, next side goes in, he forgets playing against Camille. Once you miss that chain, you should just disengage, because now there's no way out.
That's the problem, yeah. As soon as you get hit by the stun, you're not getting out, because then he can ult you after. And Hillsang is like, whoops.
Yeah, that's not going to end well, no matter how you slice it.
Just, Unicorns playing on 3 lanes at the same time. And this time around, as soon as you lose one lane, well, everyone has to then disengage, because then it all falls apart.
Yeah, Vizichachi stopping for the ward clear when he is being attacked by 3 people. striving for efficiency.
Really wanted that award, want to be a team player.
I mean, he did get out.
So,
Great heal from Samix.
Xerxes almost sets up the kill lane because then the ulti knocks Ignore back into the calling.
Yeah.
And Sama gets to block it though in the end. So we're still there, 6k, 7k gold lead. And yet it feels like this game is just dead even in so many ways because Unicorns of Love have lost so many fights. It's one tower for Misfits in the entire game. They should not be able to win this.
That's where like a lot of the gold is sitting though, right? Like if a big fight happens, we're 35 minutes in, all of a sudden those towers start falling, that Baron's up for grabs. I mean, there's so much on the map for Misfits to take.
Yeah, or even the gold will just not matter anymore because these picks for Misfits, they scale better, especially on 3-4 items. Like Corki, Varus in these fights, they can be down 5,000 gold, but if they hit 3 targets with a single arrow as opposed to LeBlanc who's maybe going for an isolated target, the value trade there is definitely in the Misfits' favor. So I don't know where it's going to go. We don't know because we don't know what the Unicorns are going to pull out next.
That's the thing. Power of Evil right now is so insanely strong. Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire Cannon, he's ready for these fights here. Exile, it's harder for him because he's very focused on a lot of single target damage. And if you don't find the correct target when you do jump in the first time as a LeBlanc, then you give 2 or 3 seconds to Corki and Varus to sit there and shoot away.
But the Unicorns have swept most of the vision in River.
Okay.
There's a few wards. They could technically bait, they could technically rotate, they could technically do anything they want. Let's find out what they do.
Well, Baron is the Unicorn's friend, has been for quite a large part of their history. They're starting to shred it down, but Misfits are not far behind. There's a teleport coming in for Alfari, and Unicorns are peeling. Chachi is around the side waiting to go in on the Dominus, but he's spotted on the blue trinket.
Yeah, really good awareness by the Misfits here. Ansama needs a lantern.
That was a risky path.
Yeah, he's, for a rookie, pretty bold pathing, walking straight into Vizichachi.
Don't want to carry on the front line, that's for sure.
Trust in his support.
Yeah.
Knew the lantern would be there, so Unicorns back towards this Baron here. They have TP advantage. They could just send Chachi back down to the bottom lane and use this wave here, but they're actually just starting it straight away, so they're giving Misfits a potential 5-on-5 team fight.
Yep. They're pushing lanes, see if they can peel off safely enough. It's trying for the bait by starting the Baron itself. It's regen. Unicorns are not able to find the fight. Misfits staying as a unit.
I would love to see a rotation to the bottom, top lane rather here. At least Exile is going, but if you went Tom Kench Lucian to the top lane, that is a free inhib turret there for the Unicorns. Instead, they like to hold mid.
All right, Kakao is backing off right now. Will he finish his channel? The rest of Misfits, they're hanging around. They're not daring to let this Baron go over.
All right, so Misfits actually managed to go back and clear out this big wave.
Missed opportunity.
Unicorns of Love, I think also just with the bot lane, having that TP on Chachi, TP and Exile as well, they're TP in both members.
Look at nobody's farming his lane. There's like literally 3 waves crashing into the turret, but because you're playing against the Unicorns, your first prerogative is get back to the Baron ASAP.
We reset though, and I like this from Chachi. Now he's down to the bottom lane. This is really good for Unicorns because Misfits cannot send anyone to defend. So Chachi can freely push in this one. Once Alfari shows up, Unicorns should go straight to the Baron and just start it. And just be ready to turn with the teleport from Vizichachi.
Unless Alfari knows the whole equation and chases Vizichachi into the jungle.
But then again, you can tank it with Xerxes and just disengage.
There's a calling.
They're going for this potential fight instead. And this is still okay for Unicorns, but the problem is you give Misfits a way out. If you make the Baron play, there's a high chance you get a 4v5.
Yeah.
And that is really difficult for Misfits to then execute. But by doing this, you actually give Misfits a 5-on-5 team fight when they shouldn't be able to get it.
But they may not expect Vizichachi to actually still be here, because again, most teams would play this out completely differently.
Yeah, and of course Unicorns can definitely win the fight. It's just giving Misfits more openings. Let's see what happens here. It's on Ignore.
They've got Ignore down, but he's going to flay and then get the hook back on Xerxes. Hextech Ultimatum is locking up Chachi in the pit. They've got a redemption. Will it come up in time? He flashes to get the heal. Alfari low, but he's going to get out of dodge right quick, and he stays alive. No one going down. Summoner's burnt.
The Misfits are adapting. They're learning what the engage patterns from the Unicorns are. We see...
Oh, that's a ward out there.
Oh boy. They're on it right now.
But
Can't Misfits respond in time. This is quick. This is going down. This is a 39-minute Baron attempt, but Exile, he's got to live for this to count right now. Power of Evil is firing him down, but he's stopped up by the chains, but now they don't have any help. Unicorns are turning off the Baron. Panic right now.
They're still on it, so Misfits around here. Exile going back to base. He does have teleport ready.
Here's Kakao. Can he turn around the steal right now to get to the end of the line? There's a teleport coming. 1,800 damage on the Baron, but they're going to turn off and try to take the fight. They melt through Hansama. Ignor's going to flash away, but Exile's right on in. Instant exhaust. They get the channel complete. He goes in with the Hextech, but Ignor takes him out. The damage total, it's 1-2 in favor of Unicorns.
And Baron is still alive. Both teams are just fighting around this big objective. Now Unicorns, Back towards it. This time around, let's see. 3 guys alive on Misfits' side, but Corki's back in base.
But Alfari has Hextech Ultimatum. He could keep people busy so Kakao doesn't get challenges easily. Kakao's looking to base here. I think we're looking for the complete reset.
No one's got summoners right now. This is tense. Maybe Samix. That's about it.
And now the globals actually shift in favor of Misfits, because both TPs were used here by the Unicorns of Love. And this now means Alfari can actually take over the bottom lane, and that should give Misfits some control on the map.
But definitely mad props to the way Ignar's playing these fights. In the previous engage in the mid
that
lane,
hook, yeah.
like he stops the main engage with his Gragas. Like he's constantly looking for Xerxes. Every fight he's either hooking or flaying him. And then Alfari will use Hextech Ultimatum on the Renekton to stop him from slicing and dicing into the fight.
And here's why Corki is dangerous. Look at this damage.
Oh.
Massive crit into a big rocket.
And then Thresh.
And then Thresh, of course, gets the kill. It was all Ignar, actually. That's his
Look at him,
damage.
594 damage.
That was that kill right there.
That was that kill.
It's more than Hillsang did.
So the Unicorns of Love, again, in this game, I think the best way to describe it is they've been making it very hard for themselves to actually close out the game. They've done so many things correct to get the big advantage, but then made it very difficult by taking some extremely risky plays to try and close out the game.
The Unicorns do not care for your convention.
That is
around
perfectly
Nashor
fine.
Bates.
That is perfectly fine. It can also be use of teleports and everything, but it's allowed Misfits to actually get back in the game.
And they've caught Hillsang once again into the box. He goes. The barrel disengaged there. Do they have the damage to melt through before the redemption comes in? I think not. And now they've caught Xerxes, but he's fine. Still, trades back and forth. A lot of damage. A lot blown on these Unicorns.
It's these Triforce autos every time Exile jumps in that are really starting to hurt. Now the Power of Evil is sitting on a multitude of items.
Chachi's caught out Alfari. That might be going on for a little while right now, but Misfits are the ones that have started this Baron off.
And that's because Chachi has no teleports. What we talked about before here, it gives them map pressure for Misfits because they can push bot lane.
But they have no tank. It's really hard even still now to start the Nashor and tanking between Kakao and Ignar.
Yeah, actually also what went wrong for them right there, and that was really good by Chachi, was Chachi was chasing Alfari. Oh, Exile.
Oh, had to get swallowed up by Hillsang. That was a little too deep.
But before here, Chachi was chasing Alfari, so Alfari couldn't teleport. If he was able to TP in, Misfits could have stayed on the Baron, and then he could just appear behind the Unicorns. So well played by Chachi there, not leaving this Camille alone.
Yeah, quite a few players are forsaking their control war duties here.
They do not care in this game,
They're
man.
getting close to 6 items. You got no more slots anymore.
This is the kind of game where your Doran's play will actually have impact in the team fight, and they refuse to get rid of it. Sadly, there's no Doran's play.
It's a game of inches, but hey.
You get the point.
Yeah. We'll see. Unicorns back on the clear duty. No one has full-on committed to this Baron, but it got down to sub
They've tried a few
2,000.
times.
They really have. Kakao is stepping forward to clear some waves out as well. I mean, it is so obvious what the game plan is for both these teams right now to try and end this game.
Yeah, this Baron has seen the light at the end of the tunnel multiple times. It's like, ooh.
I think Baron has dealt the most damage in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, Ignar's caught. There's the box. Do they have the damage to finish him? Alfari throws down one of his own. Kakao causing havoc in the backline. He stays alive. I don't know how. Samix finally finishes the job. That might be the tipping point. Oh! Samix has gone down. Power in the back. He'll give his life for the effort. Shut down by Visit Chachi. And Baron be damned. They're looking at mid lane.
It's a 2-for-1 now. Let's see if they can get something here in the base. Massive wave on top side. It's back towards the big purple worm.
I should have known they're going to do it this time. No smite steal, no nothing. Power of Evil was a valiant effort for him to try and pick off the AD carry of Unicorns, but it was not enough after Kakao went down, and it should be the Baron.
Yeah, they had a 7,000 gold lead at 20 minutes, but some unfortunate series of events happened for the Unicorns. But now, it was honestly a beautiful team fight. Kakao with some sweet moves over the wall. But still, Unicorns, their in-fight shot calling is what got them to the first place in Group B. This is something that cannot be understated. They switch targets when they're on point. They switch targets and all hit the same guy at once so damn well.
See, onto Ignar first. Alfari here, jumping in onto Chachi, but then of course the time Kenji able to save the day. And it's only in the end where it feels like Misfits can probably hit anyone in the back line. That's Power of Evil getting onto Samix. Otherwise, it's actually been a really good setup with Chachi in the front, blocking all the damage. To your point there about the target selection, we were actually looking at the team and like the damage per minute against 3+ members. And it's pretty low for Exile, pretty low for Samix, which seems weird when they're winning so many fights, but it's because they're so good at picking the correct target and nuke them down, and then the fight is basically over.
So we looked at all situations where 3v3s and more. So 4v4s, 4v5s, 5v4s. And we're like, wait, these guys, none of them rank highest in teamfight damage. Yet they all win because of teamfights. It's just because they have really great target selection.
You only get a lot of damage in these fights if there's very long fights. And you get to sit there and land multiple autos, skill shots. As an AD carry, and it's very rare. A fight is very long with the Unicorns of Love.
They do usually end things early, but this game has definitely gone a little longer than might have been expected from the beginning of it.
Yes.
For the fans, of course.
Oh, it's for the fans. Hey, we got 45 minutes of pure action. I am not complaining.
They were so far ahead early on with double teleport, full map control. They even had to steal a Baron. Xerxes managed
without smite.
Imagine if we actually lost that Baron. Then Misfits were actually... Because Misfits don't lose those leads generally. They know how to close from like a meta macro point of view.
But it's just been a crazy first game where predicting what's going to happen, it's just been impossible. Because so many weird things has just suddenly appeared in a lane left and right. And it's been very entertaining, but also hard to follow sometimes.
Yeah, no kidding. A lot of damage potential, a lot of fights. And that is another crazy thing. Misfits having the comeback, it's just not something we see them do all the time. Yes, Unicorns made it easier for them than it might have been, but it's still impressive to see this team, coming off the reverse sweep, stepping up in game one after they had a big deficit.
Yeah, but there is a composition that can do it though. If you siege on this comp on 2 lanes, you're not very likely to bust open the base. That's why the Unicorns desperately need to get access to all 3 lanes with the Baron creeps, because there's so much line wave clear here. Now they're finally getting a dent in mid lane, but Xerxes caught.
Nowhere to go right now. Guardian Angel is popped. Let's see what Unicorns do to respond to 4v5. He's an insta-flash out of it right into the belly of Tahm Kench. Hylissang saving the life of his jungler.
But again, it makes the map really compact, and Exile has to go in with Lich Bane procs on turrets to siege, because when you go for the siege, Corki Varus can always clear even through these Baron creeps. And Ignore is making so many catches to stop the Unicorns from really taking the base.
There's been a lot of gold in the game. It's been a long game when the support's almost maxing out on items as well.
Oh, a lot of fights too, because even if it's boring, they generally don't get access to that much gold.
Randuin's here for Hylissang, completed. A lot of armor on his side. Obviously a lot of physical damage on the side of Misfits.
Yeah.
So remember, Corki does bring some magic, but it is mainly physical damage, and that's why Unicorn's composition can stack so much armor. Though I wouldn't say it's been a big problem for Misfits to deal enough damage in team fights.
No.
It's more that the time it takes to kill Chachi, then he comes back from his G8, then it's a Tahm Kench Devour. It makes it difficult and actually allows Exile to get a few rotations off in these fights here and trying to pick the correct target.
Yeah, and you can see what he's been prioritizing as well. And early on with that Proto Belt to be able to kind of close those gaps, we wondered about the damage potential and maybe it wouldn't be better to have something else, but he's been able to get in and get out, honestly, a little bit faster, and that makes the difference sometimes when you're trying to go for a pick that ends the fight.
It does suck for him not to have a death cap at 48 minutes, but that's kind of the nature of his build. I know only a few LeBlanc players also really like the Lich Bane honor, but it is good if you have if you're ahead, because it allows you to get a bit of extra damage on turrets specifically.
It's a good build if the game should have never got him to 48 minutes in the first place. Now he's dealing with the repercussions of that.
Well, Alfari's dealing with a lot of damage as well, and he has to burn his flash with Samixon Hylissang coming in. That was a worthwhile trade for him to stay alive.
And GA is ready now for Alfari, just a few seconds before which he actually is pretty happy with, because he didn't want to lose the GA already and a potential catch down bottom lane. So this is important for the next fight, because while it is still a big gold advantage for Unicorns, when you're starting to max out on these items, it doesn't really matter.
But Nashor's out. You can see the pings on the map, and Alfari is aggressively challenging these minions here. They do not want to give Unicorns a way to have all 3 lanes crash into the base at the same time.
Chachi's caught. Hylissang's there, though. Denying. He's able to do it once again. Now they're going to go for it. Okay, tower damage, but not enough minion wave to make it happen. The barrel ended up just pushing it back for a second, and Chachi's hooked. Not anymore.
And again, it's the Unicorns converging in this mid lane, and the Misfits with the immediate reaction. Unicorns wanted to use the casks to get them away from the turret, take the turret down. But the Misfits are not allowing this to happen, because they're challenging the side lanes every single time to force Unicorns. If you want to siege, you gotta go on 1 lane. On 1 lane with no Nashor into Corki Varus means we have 1 second to hit the turret.
It means we get another Baron.
Not a Baron.
Which means we get another...
At least 1 more Baron.
Fight, or another setup around the Baron that will...
Yep.
Give us a few fights.
Yeah, we're looking at Renekton 49 minutes into the game. Generally starts falling off around this point.
He's more or less just a tank right now.
He's got the GA. He'll have 2 chances at it at least, but...
Camille can definitely offer some more damage on her side. Also an ulti that can be extremely impactful if she gets onto either the Blanc or the Lucian.
Yeah, and then the difference in Gragas versus Graves, sustained damage output. Graves is a tertiary carry here, as opposed to Gragas, another tank.
But obviously now, as we talked about earlier, with all the physical damage on Misfits, like the 5 ninja tappies on the side of Unicorns, the armor stacking is very impactful. Will make the fights very even.
Definitely nothing wrong with ninja tabbies, right? When
No.
we see 7 of them in every single game.
No, I think that seems pretty fair and balanced. Even when also the enemy AD carry on the other side, where you have a LeBlanc on your team, still builds ninja tappy.
Diversity,
like a good
very,
item.
very fun.
I mean, as long as we keep switching around the meta a little bit, so maybe next time it's all CDR boots.
Good old flash boots, distortion.
Yeah, they used to be really good.
Good times. Yeah, now you get the home guards for free, so you get to double up on everything. 30 seconds till the Baron spawns. We're going to see some more action around that pit. The Unicorns, they're trying to cut off any routes Misfits might take.
So let's see, full items on Ansama, full items on Alfari.
The problem right now is if you
That's
respect,
not a problem, though.
If you respect, yeah, but I'm gonna highlight a problem. If you expect somebody to bait, hang on, Vizichachi every single time.
And he doesn't care.
He doesn't. He should, but he doesn't.
He did.
Oh, wait a minute. He's got friends this time. Hold on a second. Visit Shachi right into the belly of Tom Kench once again to stay alive, and they make a great escape. Unicorns look like they might have wanted that fight, but they turned off it right quick. And here comes power. Oh, that burst. Is it enough? Not quite. Now they've caught Hillisang. He can't swallow himself. Great health, though.
Not with that
That'll be enough of a
attitude.
deterrent. I don't think that's very productive.
All right, so as we said, as soon as Baron spawns, we're gonna get a ton of fights. Oh, wait, no, he's trying again.
Oh boy, teleport coming in.
They're coming behind him. There are 2 members behind right now.
Delayed flash.
That's a clone.
Flash.
Yeah, there's no teleport though.
Yeah, but Chachi, that's not a clone for sure. He gets instant exhausted, but look at the health bars. They're going low. They're going down, or are they right now? Exile is popping off, and that's a double kill. Looking for more. Samix gets 1. Alfari's not living very long through all that. Triple kill for the LeBlanc. Unicorns marching for base.
And suddenly we're back 30 minutes ago, where the Unicorns of Love are winning every fight, running over Misfits. Took them some time, but in the end, they got that fight they were looking for.
Fantastic teleport by Vizichachi. If Renekton at this point in the game can find the back line, find Hansama with Lantern on cooldown and no access to Wascone, it's over for the Misfits.
Oh boy, the longest game either of these teams have played, all split long, and it is the start of a best of 5. Let's go fountain diving. Why the hell not? They take down Ignar. They're getting themselves the last Nexus turret. That's the ace, that's the base, and this is game 1 to Unicorns. What a barn burner!